we're going to give this a shot. I'm flying solo today, so this may be a little rocky. Anyway, the point of today's lesson is we're going to be talking about how to conjugate what are called stem-changing verbs, okay? Up until now, we've had verbs like comer, all right? Comer, when you conjugate a verb like comer, you just drop the ending, either the AR, the ER, or the IR, and what you're left with here is called the root or the stem. Some people call it a stem, okay? And what you do is you take that stem and you write it on all of the little branches of our verb tree here, okay? And those don't change. It always stays the same. In this case, C-O-M, com, all right? And then you add the endings like como, comes, come, comemos, comeis, and come. And those are the verbs that we've always been conjugating up until now. Now we get to try something a little bit new. There is a group of verbs called stem-changing verbs. And those verbs don't follow this same rule as comer, okay? Here, remember, we dropped the ER, we were left with the stem, and we wrote that stem on all the little branches of our verb tree. Stem-changing verbs are a little bit different, okay? Stem-changing verbs are like this one, perder, okay? The verb perder, meaning to lose. Now in this case, we're still going to drop the ER, okay? So we're left with per. And this is the stem, one more time, okay? That's the stem. However, this time, this verb is what we call an E to IE stem-changing verb, which means that the E right here in the stem is going to change to IE. So now, instead of putting P-E-R-D, instead of writing the stem and putting it in on the branch here, now we have to change that E to an IE. Okay, so we're going to go P-I-E-R-D. Notice, we took the P-E-R-D and we added an I. We changed the E to an I-E. And again, there's a group of verbs that do this, and unfortunately there's no way of telling by just looking at the verb if it's a stem-changing verb or not. Unfortunately, you have to memorize these. Okay? Now, the good news is the endings are normal. Okay? Remember, just like with comer, we added an O for the O form? Same thing, pierdo, we've got an O on that, okay? Over here, the to form. Okay, actually I'm going to write all the, there. Pierd, all right? We still have the stem change. We put an ES, just like with any other ER verb. So pierdes would be you lose. Pierde would be he or she loses. And now I'm going to come down to here, you'll see why in a second. Okay, we still have the pierde, we still have that stem change, that E to IE, and then we add the EN. Now I know what you're thinking, hey, this isn't really that difficult. Just wait, okay? These verbs are sometimes called boot verbs. Boot, as in you wear boots on your feet, okay? And the reason for that is because of the little diagram I'm going to draw here, right here. Every verb form, every one of these forms here that falls within the drawing of this little boot that I'm drawing has the stem change. Oh, that's actually a pretty good boot, okay? So, you'll notice these four forms have the stem change, this E to IE stem change. What's really goofy about these verbs is that the nosotros form and the vosotros form don't have that stem change. So these guys just go, they don't care. They just say, hey, we're not going to have the stem change. And I have no idea why. It's just the way it is. So notice, these two forms, nosotros and vosotros, go back to the original root. Okay? These four have the stem change. And I think what happened is, at some point, sometime in history, somebody was looking at the verb tree as it was written out there by their teacher, and they said, hey, it looks like a boot. We could put a picture of a boot over the top of this thing. And that is probably how it got its name. But the point is that I'm trying to make here is that the four forms, whenever you have one of these stem-changing verbs, whether it's an E to IE stem change or an O to UE or a U to UE, there are different changes here. There are different stem changes. But whenever you have one of these stem-changing verbs, you are going to make the change in these four forms only, not in the nosotros and the vosotros form. And that is our basic little idea of how to do stem-changing verbs.